Good morning, good morning. They are so well camouflaged. We can't see anything. All we can see is the shape where they were. I'm trying to get organized as far as getting a polarizing filter. I found a couple on Amazon, but they don't fit this camera. But what I did find just now in the camera box is I've got an adapter ring. 46 millimeters down to 37. I'm working on it. I'm sorry, I'm working on it. We will get those fish visible one way or another. Another idea, of course, is get a camera underwater, and we have actually a plastic box. It's just a question of getting things organized. I'm sorry. Just hang on. We'll be here for years yet. We'll get this. But there's a worse problem. I got here last night. Whatever. We'll talk about that. I got some video to show you later on about yesterday's walk around here. I got here last night. I got here late. There was no staff here. I didn't even come downstairs. I thought I'll set up the things in the morning, no problem. And I did this morning. I came down here at whatever, 7 o'clock or so, an hour ago to get set up. And I realized that I hadn't charged the battery for the camera that's outside. Where's the fish cam? I've lost it already. And I didn't charge the battery. So I started charging the battery for that camera. It doesn't run on power. It runs on a battery. And we're going to lose the power partway along here. I've got another battery charging now, so we'll probably have to go A, B, A, B, A, B through the morning. Whatever, we'll sort it out. As usual, I want a peaceful stream here today. There's going to be nothing, whatever. We're just going to have peaceful. I do have some work to do. I'll show you in a minute. And it's work that you've never seen me do before. So those of you who are longtime viewers of our streams, my streams and stuff like this, you will be seeing something today that I'm certain you have never seen before. So give me a minute here and we'll get to it. Other than that, I've got a couple of things to talk about. We have some video to show you partway along, video that I took yesterday out in the Baigo area near here. And we have a book corner, a fun book corner, nothing to do with making harpsichords or Dave stuff, whatever. We have more funny stuff like that, books coming up later. But I thought today we will get to just have a normal book, and we'll chat about it and show some background information. Let's roll. Should I feed the fish before we start? Tell me about it. Because the fish are so invisible, let me try and zoom in a bit more. We won't see as many, but zooming in closer should give us a chance to see some. So just a sec, before we start doing work here, let me go back to the fish cam and zoom in a bit and throw them some feed. I'm not sure which is best. We zoom out, we're not going to see anything. If we zoom in a bit more. And if I can hit that spot with the food. Oops. I didn't hit it. Try again. There we go. It's better. They are in there. They are in there. Actually, it's a new food today. This is now the third. For the past couple of months, I've been feeding them old, dried ramen noodles that I found in the fridge upstairs. Then that ran out a couple of weeks ago. And last week, was it last week or 2 weeks ago when I was here? I can't remember. Last week? 2 weeks ago. I bought a new package of ramen, the same stuff exactly. And they didn't seem to like it, so I changed again. And what I've got here today, it's on a flavored ramen noodles. If you can see them in the video there, they're not white, they're flavored. Someone says, what's with the bumpy keyboard? Every time we show our keyboard, people ask me this. It's a normal keyboard, but I don't like it to get dirty. I like to keep my computers clean. The keyboard is perfectly clean, and I use a keyboard condom. wrap it in latex. I like to keep my computers clean. Okay, you can see something strange going on the bench this morning. This is a piece of copper. And these prints have been sitting in my drawer upstairs for more than 20 years. I don't know the exact date and time. 2004, it's one of the prints from the Beauties of Four Seasons series that I made in, I don't even know, the chat can figure it out, 2004 maybe? I don't remember, 2004, somewhere around there. I made 200 of each print, sort of. What I did was, there was 4 prints that year, 3 months each. The idea was to make, as usual, 200 of each print. And in the first print, the first 3 months, I made 200 of them. It was a print based on the Heian era. It was supposed to represent spring. The poetry is a spring poem. So as we went through the year, it was going to be spring, summer, autumn, winter. So the first poem was Heian era spring. Second one was summer, moving into the Edo era. The autumn print was autumn, moving into the Meiji era. That's the chrysanthemum print we made. And then winter was a 20th century print, moving into winter. So 200 of each. For the spring one, I made 200. For the summer one, I got in trouble. I made 100, then ran out of time. We only had about 80 customers at the time. So the 100 plus prints from each group went into storage. A couple of years went by, no more people subscribed. We canned it. We split the rest of the stock up and sold them individually. So this one is the leftover 100 prints from the spring group, which we now have just given to Mokuhankan. But when I made the prints, they went like this. The registration mark, I'm not sure what I'm on the video. This is the registration mark over here. I didn't make curved wood blocks, of course. It was just made on a normal wood block going in, cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha, print it. And now I have to cut them for mounting. And I used 1 copy of the print to make a jig. Let's move the camera in a second. To make a jig so that I can cut them. The staff doesn't want to do this job for some reason. They're like, I'm not going to touch that. And I kind of get it. Let's move the camera so we can see what's going on. Is that a bit better? Yeah, I didn't want to use wood for obvious reasons, because this had to be used again and again and again. And at the time, he's long gone now, but at the time, there was a gentleman, Akagawa-san, Masayoshi Akagawa. He's on Facebook now, I think, still. At the time, there was a gentleman here with a copper workshop. He was a copper sculptor. We were buddies. So, of course, I went down to his workshop. Said, you got a spare piece of copper that I can grab. Of course he does. He had copper everywhere. So he just gave me this sheet. I think we rough cut it on one of his tools. And then I brought it back here and I cut it carefully. And if I got it right, we now have the print perfectly trimmed and ready for mounting and sending over to Mokuhankan. Someone's saying you might glue a piece of wood to the back of the copper. I'm not quite sure if I want it to be too thick. I'd like it to be quite thin, and we're only going to have to do 100 of these things. Me. And then it'll be finished. We're not going to be doing this again. There we go. This is a spectacular print, you know. I don't know if I can get it in the camera and see the embossing. It's absolutely spectacular. I'm going to guess where I am here. The round circles are deeply embossed. The kimono is full of metallic pigments. I can't see the computer screen, so I'm guessing on what's going on here. Yes, these prints have indeed been sitting in a drawer for 20 years. What I've been doing is, this is not a bestseller in the Mokuhankan shop, so what I do is I cut 10 at a time or so, to put them in the shop, and Teiko-san lets me know when we're running out and I need some more. I don't know how many left. Maybe there's about 20, 25 left, that's all. They're not going to be signed and dated. I do sign them because I did make these. I carved these and printed them myself, so they will be signed, but there's no date on them. I need an out tray. I don't have an out box. Just a sec. Someone say, would this be a paper fan? The original print that I reproduced, the original was from, I think it was the 1830s or so. And it may have been a print that was intended to be used for a fan. After they cut it to this shape, it could have been folded and made into a fan. But I don't think so. It was a Sudimono print, and it was made simply as a presentation object. It wouldn't have been used physically as a fan, the original version of this. And same thing, nobody is using my prints these days as fans, of course. It's just simply the shape. I have no idea what kind of bird it is. If anybody knows, you can let me know. That's not the kingfisher. Is this print available through your OnlyFans? Is that a joke? This print is on the website. It's on the Mokuhankan website. It's in the Mokuhankan catalog now. In the old days, it was privately published by me. It was under our Sisaragi Studio, my Sisaragi Studio label. These days, this print is just on our normal website. This is now nothing special. It's just one of our normal prints. Ah, it's a joke. Only fans. Okay, okay. It took me a while to get it. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. It's early in the morning here in Tokyo. Who was that? Who was that masked man? Right over Dave's head. Look at this. Right over Dave's head. It's a fan joke. A fan. Just. Someone's going to clip this, I guess. No, that's it. Failure. You're going to clip all my failures, are you? That's my second failure of the day, and it's not even 9 o'clock yet. I think there's some discussion about the poetry on this. This is a surimono, and I believe these are kyoka poems, and there's no way I'm about to try to translate these. It's very, very difficult. The words can be translated and read, but the meaning of the poetry cannot. It was satirical, elusive poetry, maybe even based on some events or something that was going on in that very group at that time in 1832 or whatever it was. So there's no way nowadays we have any idea what the stuff actually meant, even though the words one by one can be picked out of it. So there's no way that we can have any meaning on the poetry. Just simply understand that it was kyoka poetry designed to fit with this kind of an image. The meanings were just too elusive and ephemeral. Second fail, it's the second that I'm counting or I'm willing to admit to. The first, I do in the morning. First thing I do when I get up, it's a quick email check. And I had a special check to do this morning because yesterday there was a major fail at our web hosting company. They had a major fail yesterday, and we were unable to access some of our databases all through yesterday afternoon. And when I went to bed, it was still all down. So the first thing I checked this morning was, is the web host back up? And it was indeed. We're okay. But after that, once stuff like that's out of the way, I do a few warm-up puzzles each morning. I go to the New York Times website. I do the Wordle and connections every morning. And that usually just takes a couple of seconds. By then, water is boiled for the coffee. And if connections and Wordle hadn't taken too long, like more than 5 minutes or so, then I do a third puzzle each morning. And this one I failed today. And actually, this is it. This might be of interest to some people. Let me link to this. I don't think we've talked about these before. Give me a sec. Let me find the link here. I don't even know what this word means. The name of the puzzle is, I don't even know how to pronounce it. Gisnep. This is probably something that's over my head. Gisnep or Gisnep. It's probably an anagram of something, or it means something. Maybe somebody here will know exactly what it means. It's over Dave's head. But it's a word puzzle that I knew when I was a kid in analog form. It used to be done in a Games magazine. There was a magazine called Games. I do this each day also. And I got to be careful what I say. Soka, because today's puzzle for me is not what you're going to see. Soka. Yeah, if you follow that link I give you, if you're in some other part of the world, you're going to see a very easy puzzle, because yesterday it was easy. But today's puzzle, the Thursday puzzle, it broke me. I ran out of time. That's why I was late getting down here to charge these cameras. Wordle yesterday was difficult, somebody says. I don't even remember. What was Wordle yesterday? Today's Thursday for me. We're going to be careful of this kind of conversation. Not to do spoilers here. For me, it's 11:14. I just finished Wordle, and it's one that's going to kill a lot of people. Yesterday's, yeah. Took me 6. I got to admit, it took me 6 yesterday, but I did get in there. Have I tried strands? It's another New York Times puzzle. I haven't, and I'm trying to avoid like building up 10 of these things before breakfast each day. So I don't know. There is a limited amount of time in the world that I've got to do these things. So first it was just Wordle, then it was Wordle plus connections, and now it's Wordle plus connections plus GISNEP, whatever it is. And I didn't take any paper out today, and I didn't have a swim today. Do we have any prints featuring orchids? Yes, we do. I'm not sure if they're online. We have some leftover prints from Urushibara, the Japanese printmaker living in Britain through the first half of the 20th century. Do I need to go and look? I don't know. One sec. It might not be online. It's just perhaps ready. Just a minute. Mokuhankan catalog. If you go to the flea market, look for contemporary. Yes, there you go. Shall I give you a link? There's at least one orchid print online at the moment, but it's expensive. It's not cheap at all. It's an original Urushibara print. Someone's got, and the Sunday New York Times crossword was not enjoyable last weekend. I will be doing that tomorrow, so this is the spoiler the other way around. Although I get the paper earlier than you guys, I saved the puzzle for the time when I'm on the train going back to Tokyo. So I haven't done last Sunday's puzzle yet. So let's keep the spoiler respect okay both ways. Let's toss a bit of food. It's warmer than last time. Last time I was here, I was freezing cold. It was windy out there. It was chilly. It's fine today. Bare feet again. Still. I'm amazed the battery is still running here. I was thinking it was going to go out any second. Oh, you go! Kaboom! Its temperature at the top, what does it say? 10? It says 14 and a half. It says 14, 15 temperature. And the relative humidity, of course, we're right by the river, is high, especially for this cold. Relative humidity that high. This is a damp place. But it's not as chilly as it was the other day. Last time we were here, there was a wind, right? And the wind was killing me. Today's fine. Not 9:30. Yeah, right. I'm still angry about only fans over my head. You're not allowed to put things over my head. I guess that somebody's explaining this to me. That was over my head too. I'm sorry. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's a joke on how the Disney handwritten logo. Thank you, sir. Take an egg. Very much. Thank you. I didn't know that. Is that over my head, or is it simply if you don't know something, you don't know it? Anyway, thank you. I don't feel too embarrassed about that. I guess you just simply have to know that one. Okay. I will look this up. Thank you. Is there a Wikipedia page about this or something? So how would we pronounce it? If you boil a funny bone. I hadn't seen that one before. I didn't. Is that your original, or is that a thing that's out there? I've never seen that one before. Who's this? The Epic Taco. Thank you. Thank you. Is that your original? If it is, you get a big, big, big egg. Nice. So. For the benefit of people who are seeing this later without the chat, we have had a comment that says, if you boil a funny bone, it becomes a laughing stock. Now that's humorous. So, if this is breaking down to becoming a pun stream, then whatever. Thursdays. I don't care about Thursdays. At the moment, anyway. Okay, is it video time yet? I get some fun video. What is it, 8:32? No, it's a bit too soon. Maybe 8:45, let's hit that video. Actually, the background to the video, we're talking about the shelves. We're building a huge, humongous set of shelves here, one floor up from me, or we're planning to do this. I'm in B2, the second basement. B1, the first basement, just above my head here, is just about 4 meters high. And we have a storage crisis here at Mokuhankan. There's way too many blocks, way too much stuff. We've built up so many things now that I cannot even get through that floor. We've got boxes everywhere. I've showed you video of it. But because it's 4 meters high, we are wasting basically a whole floor. So I have contracted with a local carpenter, a guy who builds houses, a man and his son. They build houses. They live about, 4 stations up the train line from me here. And I've called them in. We did talk. They're doing a plan, talk. I went up to their workshop yesterday. When I came out here from Tokyo, I went to see them at their workshop. They had a mock-up. I told you about this before. They made a physical, real-size mock-up of a piece of the shelf that they're planning. So we looked at it yesterday, hummed and hawed. I said this, I said that, they said this, they said that. And I gave them the go-ahead on this. I still haven't heard their quote from this. But now that they've got it all figured out, what I want them to build, they're going to give me a quote. We're going to go ahead. So, and if this comes through as planned, it's going to revolutionize the storage system in this house. Basically, everything that's upstairs in my private space will be down here on those storage shelves. The record keeping that we're legally supposed to keep, wood blocks all on the walls, 4 meters high. It's going to revolutionize our storage here. But yesterday, when I was at their place, just around noon, 12:30 or so. It was a beautiful sunny day. So I thought, hell with it. Instead of going back on the train 4 stops, let's just stroll home. So I left their place, which is 4 stops up the line towards the mountains, and I walked through the back streets on the way home. And I had in my pocket my Pocket 3. So I just took some clips here and there, here and there, here and there. I just took some clips. We're looking at a couple of things, gardens and a tree and just whatever. Just some random stuff that I shot on the way home from there. about 10, 15 minutes worth. So we'll show that in a few minutes. Someone's asking about climate control in the shop. There's a few things involved here. Where the wood blocks are stored is zero control whatsoever. It's actually open to the outside. There is no heating and no air conditioning and no drying and no anything. That's the B1, the big room I just told you about. That's where our wood blocks live. So they basically live, I can't say they live outside, but they live with no artificial control. They don't get dried is the main thing. Here it's quite a damp environment. I guess in summer they absorb moisture, in winter they let it go. They're stacked on edge like this, open to the atmosphere. I believe that's the best way to store them. This isn't, by the way, that isn't hockey. This is just some brand name here in Japan. I know, I was confused too. I thought it was the Habs, Les Habitants, but it's not. It's a fashion brand here in Japan. Champions Dish or something. So I was confused about that first too. I thought it was a hockey logo. It's not. My God, as a little boy, I wouldn't have been caught dead with something like this. My God, impossible. I grew up, when I was hockey mad, I was in Edmonton. But this was long before Edmonton had a team. There was only 6 teams in the league, and I was an English-speaking Canadian. Ah, here we go, battery switch. One sec. We have 2 batteries. While we're here, should we look at some video? I've learned about this. When we go to the video, we have to wake up the outside drive. There's a hard drive with some video on it. I have to wake it up first. Let's do this. Okay, the video, it's soundless. I just had my Pocket 3 and nothing dramatic is going to happen here. Just simply, I'm walking back on the back streets behind in Ome here. If there's something interesting to talk about, then I'll do a voiceover. Other than that, we can just have a peek at this. Are we okay? Crows here too. Here we go. We're in the Okutama area. This is northwest from Ome Station. And this is the Tama River, the one that comes out by Haneda Airport in Tokyo. And we're on the Okutama Bashi. I'm standing on a high bridge. You can see the shadow there. I'm standing up on the bridge. It's way, way, way up. It's like, whoa. The water wasn't muddy, the water was perfectly clean. What you were seeing there a minute ago was the brown base of the river, the dirt underneath the river. Animals here, there are deer, there are monkeys, there are inoshishi, wild boars, and there are bears, actually. There's been bear sightings regularly now. And this is somebody's backyard. This is unkempt. It's not cared for at all. And I'm not used to this camera, I'm sorry. This should have shown the ground. When you're walking through somewhere, showing the ground is more important. I'm not used to this camera yet, so. I'll get it better as I get used to it. Somebody's saying still so green. Yes, of course. Sorry about the wiping, amateur work. I just stuck it together last night. I don't remember the name of the temple. It said on the signboard history, something like from 800 and something. It's old. Some of the things in this area are really quite old. Oops, screwed up that wipe. Sorry, I just literally just patched it together quickly. It looks like some castle wall. It's just a local temple. It's the bell tower. What time of day? Just afternoon. I left the workshop at around 12:30. So this is now, it's 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock or something on the way back. Just mid-afternoon. And this is the Yoshino area of Ome. If you're looking at an Ome map, it's the old plum. We'll see in a minute. We'll get to the plum orchards, which are all now cut down. Look at this, I'm sorry. Come in. Take a little bit more care next time, I'm sorry. I was just trying to get it done before going to bed. Tree is wrapped up, ready for winter. It's wrapped up all the way up. They've gone all the way up every branch, wrapping, wrapping, wrapping. That was a temple. This is just a backyard. This is looking over somebody's wall. Same thing too. Just anywhere. There's pretty well-off houses here and there. It's not a lemon. It's I forget the name of it. I don't know, yuzu. I think it's yuzu. Sadako will check me later on that one. I don't remember. I don't think it's a lemon. This is winter stuff. And maintenance on a backyard like this is very, very expensive. This lady has a very good gardener, a very expensive gardener, or they do it themselves. Very expensive for a backyard. Okay, this one's funny. The whole area, I'm going to pause this because something to talk about. Wait, stop. Okay, this whole area here, it's the Yoshino Baigo in Ome. And it has been famous for hundreds of years for its plum trees. Baigo means plum orchard, and the town's name is Ome, a green plum. This particular area, about 10, 15 years ago, got hit by a plum virus, and it was unstoppable. We had a plum tree here in my house, in front of the house. City office came over one day, said, sorry, bang, chainsaw, gone, we'll take it away in a truck. All the plum orchards here, with no exceptions, were razed to the ground and burned. And then what they did, they sprayed the ground with some kind of toxic stuff, waited a year, sprayed it again, waited a year. The whole area had all the plum trees destroyed. It was the only way to stop this thing. If you left one tree behind, it would spread again through the district. And this was back in the early 2000s, just after I moved here. So in the middle of this view, you see here the new generation of plum trees. And they would have been planted, I don't know, after the big battle, and then they waited X years before it was clear to do again. And they've planted again. So what I'm about to show you, I'm standing here, and I'm going to pan 360. And all around what we're going to see in a minute is houses, which are planted on what used to be the Baigo plum orchard. And the reason I took this is because a lot of people have an image about Japan, about the houses. We saw that a moment ago, that garden, the glorious garden with the beautiful trimmed trees and whatever. Here is the modern community in that same location. This used to be plum trees. Now it's houses, and there is not one blade of grass. Nothing. It's concrete right out to the street. There's no garden. There's some green there. That's not green. That's artificial, whatever. This is the modern ethic for a Japanese subdivision, right here in one of the greenest, most wonderful parts of Tokyo. Not a single blade of grass anywhere. This guy in the middle, either he hasn't sold his land yet, or the development simply hasn't started yet. Yep. This is the part that hasn't been hit yet, coming to a subdivision near you. There's traffic noise here. This is on the highway coming back. This area we're in is steep. These little river valleys cut right through. Again, that's like 20 meters straight down. This is getting closer back to where I am now. This is within about 5 or 6 blocks of my home is where this one is. Okay, this is different. This is the last cut here. This is now, I'm here on this street. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's 10 or 11 doors down from me to the west. This is Dave's neighborhood. We are now home. This is an Akiya. You've all heard about this, the empty houses here in Japan. Back when I used to live here before going to Asakusa, this was, I think there was an elderly couple that lived here. I guess one of the partners died, and then, I don't know, one night there must have been an ambulance call, and they didn't come back, and this property on the left is now just an Akiya, empty house, overgrown. There's a nice little pond in the front, which must be now full of mosquitoes in the summer. And this is the kind of house you read about. They're all over Japan. Just simply the last person walked away one day. Look at this, the kitchen there. You can see cloth hanging up. It's ready to be occupied. They literally, the last person whatever. As I said, it'll be an elderly person taken away by ambulance, and the family just leaves the door locked. And nobody wants this sort of stuff. There's no schools here, no hospitals, no shopping, no nothing in this neighborhood. This is the back corner. I walked down the alley. This is the back corner of the property. And on my right, you can't see it, is the little river that's the same as on my house. Someone's saying, is electricity and gas cut off? I don't know, If it's known, if the family has inherited it, then they will shut down the services. If there's no known family, no, just simply the gas company would at some point cut it off, I guess, for non-payment. I don't know. They're everywhere. In this neighborhood, they're everywhere. This one looks like a particularly nice one, but they are everywhere. Way over 10%, and this is not my estimate, I saw City Hall notice, way over 10% of the homes in Ome are, at the moment, abandoned and empty. How far is it from the city? We're in Tokyo. This is Tokyo. You're in Tokyo. That's that. That's in Tokyo. Is this close to us? I told you, it's 10 doors down, 10 or 11 doors down. Nobody wants it. I don't want it. I get maintenance for something like that. God knows, I don't know. Nothing. Remember, buying a house in Japan doesn't get you residency. This is the big deal killer here. People want to come and live in Japan and buy the house. Whether it's for sale or not, I don't even know. If it is for sale, Yamaguchi-san's place, the one in front of me, when he died 4 or 5 years ago, the daughter came over, I chatted with her, I'd come up to see her. We've told this story before. She said, do you want it? I said, really, no. And she says, can you buy it just to take care of it? I said, well, what are you asking? And she waves 4 fingers at me. And it meant 4 million yen, which is about $30,000. And I just said, I'm sorry, it's really difficult, I can't. And then she changed in wave 3 and then wave 2. She just wanted to get rid of it. It was free. 30,000, came down to 20,000, came down to 10,000, just in a few minutes of conversation. She just wanted to get rid of it. And she did. She eventually sold it. A real estate company bought it, and they're using it now as a dormitory for some Chinese workers for a local factory. Nobody wants these things. Nobody. But somebody's got it. You can't get a visa. And also remember, there's nothing here. There's no jobs around here. There's no supermarket. There's no schools. There's no hospitals. There's nothing. The station is 20 minutes walk away. When I leave here tomorrow afternoon, I'll walk it depends on the weather. If it's nice weather, I'll walk to the station 20 minutes to get to Tokyo. And from there, it's 90 minutes to Tokyo, downtown Tokyo. There's all kinds of business models you could do for that. If in an alternate universe, when I had nothing to do, I could buy that house for whatever it was, fix it up, have some fun fixing it up, and do an Airbnb thing. You could advertise an Airbnb, free, peaceful, good places to walk. Like that video I just showed you, that's all walking distance from right here. So you could make an Airbnb, you could fix the house up and make an Airbnb page that looked great. Spend 2 or 3 days living in the environments of Tokyo, walking around and looking at all the gardens and stuff. You could sell the thing as an Airbnb really, really easily. It's accessible from Tokyo. People get on the train to Tokyo Ome Station, get a taxi out there, 15 minutes, 1,000 yen for the taxi. There's a business model there, but I don't have time for this. And I don't want to get more stuff. I don't want another house. But my God, there's a business model there. Yes, houses are like cars. My house at the moment now is book value of 0. Zero. It is depreciated to nothing. It is now over 30 years old. My own home, the one we're using right now, has a value of zero. If I tried to borrow money, using my house as collateral, it's not the way it works here. So my prints are worth more than the house, absolutely. This computer is worth more than the house. It doesn't matter because we're using the house. The house is valuable to us because we're using it. It's a business venture here. I mean, I'm earning in rent. The company pays me rent for the house every month. But it just in terms of, from the bank's point of view, from other people's point of view, this is worth nothing. What's insurance? If the house, I can't get insurance. Nothing. It's uninsurable because it's worth nothing. And we don't have insurance on the contents because they're too valuable. And the insurance company won't give us insurance for the contents. I suppose they would if I paid boop, 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 boop. But no. So nothing here is insured. Nothing. I mean, nothing here in my, I'm not talking about Japan. I'm talking about nothing here in my property. Nothing here is insured. Land would hold value, but in my case, no, because we are on a slope. I don't have a flat piece of land. To build a house on a property like this would be more than it's worth. So my property literally, and I'm not exaggerating, my property literally is worth nothing. I could, if I decided to pack up and move away and sell this, we could present it in a way. Buy a weekend home. Somebody is a salaryman in Tokyo, maybe a business manager. He's got some money. He and his wife want a little getaway place from Tokyo. We could package this, show pictures of the greenery, the fish, the maple leaves. We could package it as a getaway from Tokyo real cheap. I could get, I think, close to what I paid for it, 15 million, I think, if I packaged it properly. And we'd have to put a heater in, get some air conditioning. I could get 15 million for this, I think. I've talked to other people about this. They said, dream on. I said, no, if you package it properly, I could get 15 million for this, which is about $100,000, even though its book value is zero. Let me feed the fish. They are there. Look at that. Now they're visible. What we need maybe is a drip feeder. Instead of me going out there, we need a little robot arm that drops one little piece of noodle every 60 seconds or something. I don't know. That'll keep them visible. All right, what's our timetable? It's coming up to 9. We have a book corner here. Book corner may not take all that much time, though. So tell you what, let me do a bit more work here. Get a bit more of this done. Questions, whatever will come in, whatever, I don't know. And then around maybe 10 minutes from now, we'll start the book corner. We have, for me, a very, I don't know, whatever. We'll talk about when we get there. No, someone's saying the paradigm about the Japanese house prices, I know, maybe there's 2 or 3 different venues that this happens. You've got your venue, say, out in the countryside, where somebody has their own home out in the countryside. And that home could be 100, 200 years old. That's not the paradigm we were talking about a few minutes ago, where you build a wooden house and it's got a 30-year lifespan. An older, more expansive, some of the houses we saw in when we went to visit the Washi village. Remember? I walked down the road there and there's these beautiful, big, well-constructed, big wooden buildings. They used to be workshops, now they're houses. That's a different paradigm. What we're talking about, the paradigm when I said the 30-year wooden collapsible house, that's the urban environment, urban post-war environment in Japan. Salary man, he gets a job when he's out of university, 20, 24, 25. He maybe finds a wife, whatever. They get one of these little houses, 30-year mortgage. He's going to pay it off just before he retires. The house is sort of worth nothing. And one of the reasons it's worth nothing is big few things. They haven't made them very strongly because they know it's fire, earthquake territory. They haven't made them very strongly because they know that nobody wants to buy used houses. There's a major different paradigm here in Japan. That young couple starting out, they don't want a used house. We think of used cars. New cars and used cars are a really different thing in Western society. Some people want a new car. Buying a used car, shit, what's happened to that thing? Where's it been? What kind of accidents was it in? For a young Japanese person, when they think of a used house, that's the kind of negative feeling they have. The same as a typical American will have. I'll just use a rough comparison here. The way a typical American thinks about a used car could be a great value, but maybe it's going to be trouble. You only do it if you can't afford anything else. If you can afford it, you get a new car. And that's the way the young Japanese couple will look at houses. What happened in there? Who could, oh my God, maybe somebody died in there, whatever. You know, all this stuff comes in. And also it wasn't made well in the first place. So buying a used house means it's got even a shorter lifespan. So in the post-war period, it became the normal way. 30-year lifespan, wooden house, knock it down, rebuild it, bang, your way to go. The value would have been in the land in most cases. And they've got these maps showing, it's like a heat map. The stations are there, and then the ring around each station. The closer to a station, the more the land is worth. The farther away from the station, the less it's worth, because all these young people were commuting to work. So that's the environment that this thing I'm trying to describe came up in. And it's of course now changing. Work patterns are changing. House construction methods are changing. But the house I'm in now, built in the late 1990s, was built at the height of when that paradigm was still the only way to go in these urban areas. And it's still happening. It's not like it's going on. There are new houses being built in this district where I am right now, selling for more money than I paid for mine. And those houses are absolute junk, just like this one. I've seen this happen. One of the young people working for me got married during the time that she's been working for me, and she had access to her grandmother's home here in Tokyo. So she got married with her young man. They've got 2 kids. They were using grandma's home. I know grandma didn't want it. Grandma so just used it. So they had it. They would have inherited it, whatever. I don't know who legally still owned it, but there they were living in grandma's home. Not anymore. They left there and bought a 30-year junk house on a 25-year mortgage. Why? Because her husband didn't want to live in an old used house. So instead, they've taken that loan, long loan, pay all their bonuses, go straight to the real estate, the bank. Remember too, young Japanese couples, they don't even own a hammer. They know what a hammer and a saw is, but they don't own such a thing. There's no room in a Japanese house for having your little bench with a workshop where you do some maintenance on house stuff, or a window gets broken and you fix it yourself. They don't have a clue about that sort of stuff. It's not the culture. So a Canadian boy who comes in here and says, okay, I can do that. I built this little window and away we go. To me, it's nothing special at all. To them, it's, oh my God, were you a carpenter in a previous life or something like this? There are so many different factors at work. Dave looks at that house we just saw And man, if I had the time and space for it, didn't have a job, I'd love to grab that house and start fixing it up and get someone to help me with the garden, and away we go. It would be so much fun. A ton of fun. My dad did this all the time. That's all I ever lived in. He bought used crap, fixed it up, sold it, bought another one, fixed it up and sold it. I lived in sawdust all my life. But a young Japanese couple, they don't have any idea. I'm not saying this in an insulting way. They're just different. The culture is different. You can get it. And if it goes back to the pioneer days, Canadians had to, like chop trees and build houses. Japanese haven't had to do that for 2,000 years. So many differences, so many differences. They all add up over time with the result that you've got a housing market that is just completely, totally different. Okay, let's look at a book or two. It is indeed. This is copper. A piece of copper I got from a copper workshop that is now defunct. Akagawa-san has moved away. I took a piece of copper, pasted on. I got him to rough cut it. Maybe in fact what I did too, maybe I took the print down to his workshop, took some spray glue, we pasted the print onto copper, he did it on his saw close, I came down and filed it to a finished shape. So we have a copper template matching a woodblock print. Well-constructed houses will last indefinitely with repairs. Depends on a couple of things, earthquakes and humidity. Yeah. Both of those things can be handled. But remember, there's a very different thing here. The people here, you tell the same stories too many times. I know. One of my in-laws was in the housing business. He about my age, so maybe he's retired now. And he and I sat down here drinking beer there. We family get together at New Year's time, And I'm like, why don't you guys build well-insulated houses? He said, Dave, you don't understand. Japan has 4 seasons, and we have a rainy season, and blah, blah, blah. And if we insulated well, the house would get damp. And I'm like, yeah, well, it rains in other countries, whatever. We've told this story too many times. Okay, today's book. I have not 2 books. I have 1 book. How are we going to do this? What's the best way? If I switch back to this camera for a minute here. Here, let's switch back to this one. Today's book is this. This is a copy of it I had when I lived back in Canada. Dangerous River by R.M. Patterson. Now, if you're a Canadian boy, you know this book. You know this book. The words of this book flow through our bloodstream. I don't know. If you're a Canadian boy of my generation, whatever, or maybe the generations before me, my kids probably have never heard about this, whatever. It was published in Britain in 1954. 1954. And what it is, it's here we are. Somebody's got it. It's fur trappers. There's no muskets. It's fur trappers and gold seekers. It's a classic of Canadian literature. It's a young man who was born in Britain. He went to war. He was in the British military in the First World War, escaped it, emigrated to Canada, became a farmer and a rancher in the Peace Country in northern Alberta. This is long before I was born. This is 1920s, whatever, long before I was born. He heard stories about the North Country, whatever. So one day, he got himself a canoe, threw it in the Peace River, went north, and he explored a place called the South Nahanni River. Now there's a map up here. Those of you who aren't Canadians know whatever. This is a map of part of northern Canada. And there's a river here, the South Nahanni River. And he had gone there because of, it was maybe going to be gold there, and it was a little place to explore. And he was just one of those guys who wanted to get out to places where people hadn't been before. It became a classic of Canadian stuff. And any typical boy like me, whatever. It was the old stuff. It was the RCMP boys with their fur hats and the cabin in the snow and the guys overwintering there. It's classic Canadian stuff from generations ago. There's now a half a dozen ISBNs because this thing has been reprinted and done again in any number of formats. I'm not suggesting that everybody's going to be interested in here. The point of this book corner is to talk about books that affected me a lot. And Dave here, I would have read this first as a teenager. Now, I am not in any way a woodsman, a fur trapper, mucklucks, and get out into there. Not at all. At the end of my teens, I did become a hiker. When we moved to British Columbia, I started hiking with some friends. Backpack, overnight, 2 nights, 3 nights, whatever. Getting out of some places where there are not really any trails. And after reading this book, I got the idea that, okay, Dave is not this guy. He cannot do what this guy did, spend a year out there building himself a cabin, shooting moose for dinner and all that kind of stuff. I knew I would never do that. But I did want to explore the outdoors a bit more. And I was a weekend hiker. My backpack, my boots, my little pup tent and stuff like this. I'd done the Boy Scouts thing. So I thought after reading this, okay, Dave, you can't do this. Can you find a little project that would challenge yourself in a very small way, the kind of thing that this guy did? Get outside for a while. Can you sort of use your own resources for a while? So what I had the idea for, and at this time I am now, this is probably about the same age when I built that guitar. I'm now 18, 19 or 20, whatever. This book is in my blood. I've read it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. I go downtown in Vancouver to the government office where they sell maps and stuff. And I have upstairs here, I have maps like, oh my God, I have maps and maps and maps. And I bought, first thing I did was, I got the map covering the area of the Nahanni River because I wanted to trace the places that he'd gone and what he had done, and might there be any chance to go up there. A little bit of research pointed out that that wasn't going to happen for a couple of reasons. One, it was too big a project, and 2, there's already airports on that river, places where seaplanes land, there's tourist boats running up and down the river. That place is out of it. You can now book a tour, go up to South Nahanni and sit in a boat while they feed you camping and you do glamping and read stories from the dangerous river. It's out of there. So plan B was, I got a map of the Kootenay area, the southern Rocky Mountains, a place I had been back and forth a number of times, and I tried to identify areas where there were unexplored passes across the Rocky Mountains. There's the Rogers Pass where the highway goes through. There's the place where the Trans-Canada Highway goes through, up from Golden to Lake Louise through to Calgary. There's also a whole bunch of places where there are unexplored, untraveled passes across the Rocky Mountains. And Dave here got his little map. There's the Kicking Horse Pass, the Vermilion Pass, the Simpson Pass, the White Man Pass, the North Kananaskis Pass, the Crow's Nest Pass, the North Kootenay Pass. I got my maps out and I thought, here's the deal. I will get my backpack ready. I will take the train, bus, whatever, to the nearest place in BC that's the jumping off place to one of these passes, and I will head up, trekking, just like the old guys used to do who explored Canada. I will cross the South Kananaskis Pass, or whichever one I chose, bushwhack my way down to Calgary. And Dave has, in his own tiny way, eaten a little bit of the experience of those early explorers of Canada. So I went through this. I don't remember the exact timeline of how this all happened because this is all 50 years ago, and all I'm doing now is trying to recreate what I did. But as a warm-up to this, what I did do was this. And I really, really, really wish I had 3 maps. Where's the third one? Here it is. This is the one that I did do. I got my gear, my pack frame, my little tiny tent, my sleeping roll, camping goods and stuff, and 1 week's food. And I took the bus from Vancouver towards Calgary. And at the point where we passed Hope, we're on the Hope-Princeton Highway, I got to the entrance to Manning Park. I had arranged with the driver to drop me off. So he stops. Here we are. There's the entrance to the park. We got to Manning Park. He pulls the bus over. I get off. He takes my backpack out of the bottom. The other passengers are like, what's happening? And I got off the bus. It drives away, and Dave gets it on. And I did it. I spent 1 week. I think it was 8 days. I had my compass, my map. I turned away from the highway, and at the other end, I went down to the, the visitor center somewhere in the park. A week later, I came out of the bush into the visitor center where I could pick up a bus to get home. I had wanted to see, you know, growing up, we read these stories about the old fur traders, and they got their canoe and they head off into the mountains, and there was no maps, there was no food, there was no nothing. I'd love to know how they did it. So I had this experience. I would have been 20, I think, of spending 1 week in the Canadian wilds. This is in Manning Park, but I mean, there's no picnic benches here. I got away from all that stuff. I headed for the Alpine territory, mapped out a route above the tree line, camped out for a week. No camera, no notebook, no nothing. It was just to see if I could do it. I had my food with me. I wasn't, you know, shooting anything or trapping anything, or, you know, I had my food. I was self-contained. I used water from the mountain streams up there. The fear had been bears, because if you're up there and you run into a bear and things go the wrong way, then you're in trouble. So whatever. There's risks you take and risks you don't, and whatever. And that was the warm-up for me. The next project was going to be, as I said, choose one of the Rocky Mountain passes and have a go at doing what the old explorers did, looking at the mountains, figuring out how to get through, and walking up and walking down. But I didn't get there. Life went on, different stuff came in, and I never did my major Dave Crosses the Rocky Mountains. That one I didn't do. But I did spend a week in the backwoods of Manning Provincial Park, starting at the entrance where the bus drops me off. It's near the Skagit River. And it was a ton of fun. And I remember now basically nothing of it. I didn't have a camera. This is 50 years ago. We didn't have, you know, little cameras and stuff. I remember it as being a ton of fun. I don't know. I don't have any real vivid. I didn't take any notes, nothing. I had this map. I must have copied or photocopied or something. This map obviously didn't go up with me because it's clean and clear. But I would have had this map that shows the mountains and the rivers and the territory and everything like that. Did I take any weapons? No, I would have had a little pocket knife. I was never into like hunting stuff and sheath knives and guns and stuff, never. We're talking modern camping. I would have had freeze-dried food, whatever was available at that level. We're not talking about carrying meat and potatoes, you know. And I wouldn't have eaten very much. It would have been a pretty skimpy food budget. A little tiny gas cartridge stove. And this was summer. It would be late summer. It would be early September maybe. And this would be, I don't know, 1971, 1970, 1971. I don't remember. They both Canadian PM, not me. It's not my country anymore. I don't understand it now, you know. Someone says, have the same maps. We fished the Skagit River 30 years ago. Okay, well, I was there before you. I was 50 years ago. Whatever. So, maps. To try and find these yesterday, I was digging out maps upstairs. My God, the edge of the map roll. It's sort of... Some of the... You could see the roll is up there, and some of this stuff now is getting, you know, totally brown and rusty and whatever. And there we are, the South Nahanni River, Dead Men Valley, location of a cabin. I had marked the gate, the butte. I had marked all of Patterson's places on the map. I'm sure I'm not the only one. There must have been a generation of Canadian boys who ate that book up and dreamed dreams about going up there to do the same thing, you know. I never got up there, I never will. If I go up there now, it'll be glamping. They take you on the jet boats up the river or something like this. Of course, it's all gone now. But when I lived, I guess when I was, you know, at that age 50 years ago, there would have been still opportunities, you know, to find backcountry like that had never been explored, you know. Were I scared about the wolves and bears? I don't know. I wasn't so scared that I didn't do it. I got up there, got off the bus, got my backpack, and headed up into the country, you know. I guess if I had really, really felt that it was my thing, I would have done it more, and I wouldn't have played flute. I wouldn't have, gone to the music store. I would have become a outdoorsman. But it's not my thing. I got a taste of it. I got a feeling for it. I've still got the stuff, upstairs. It's that became later here in Japan. That became the My Solitude series. Got my little tent, got my camping gear, got a very, very nice sleeping bag. Except it's probably been stuffed tight now for 20 years, so maybe it won't open up again. So someone says a little typical Canadian boy, just a little bit of the country in there. So the booking, I'm sorry if we didn't get the book again. It's called. People are still asking, what's the book? I'm sorry. The book is available in various formats. It's The Dangerous River by R.M. Patterson. I've got 2 versions of it. It's been published again and again and again because it's a never-ending thing for young guys. Yeah, I saw some of the pictures, and they just where's this? Can I get this on the screen here? Look at this picture. This is it. I saw pictures like this early morning in the Lower Canyon. And there's the guy sitting there next to his canoe, surrounded by this stuff. So I never got up on the Honey, and of course never will be now. Spectacular place. My God, spectacular place. Absolutely incredible country. There's the guy. There's the author. This will be 1924, somewhere around there. This is your man. That's your author. What if it's a woodblock print? Of course there's lots of woodblock prints there. My God. Have I thought about hiking again in Japan? Not really. Not really. For someone who has been, like that experience I had in Manning Park there, you got to get on the map, get away, and for 1 week you don't see people. For 1 week, you don't see a footprint. You don't see a trail. This wasn't trails I was walking on. This was cross country. Like people had never. I was in places that presumably there'd never been a person there before. So when I first came to Japan, wow, Japan has mountains, the Alps, Hiroshi, Yoshida, blah blah blah. Let's get up there. At every mountain, it's a highway with footsteps and people. I guess it's okay. Japan is Japan. But for someone who had done that a little bit, to me, hiking in Japan is kind of, just follow the trail. It's walking, not so much hiking. So, but yeah, things are what they are. So whatever. Well, I'm sure the maps are better now. It's all based on photographic, what's it called, photogrammetry or whatever. So. And anyway, now at my age now, I'm busy. When Sadako and I, not so much the last few years, but Sadako and I used to do, quote unquote hiking, which means, you're going to a guest house. You're not camping overnight with backpacks and stuff. So Sadako and I did mountain walking on the trails, and it's pleasant enough. And I was happy enough to do that. And I guess I should get out more up there. Whether my knees could handle it now or not, I'm not sure. But in the beginning, when I came to Japan, I was just so much, no, this is kids' play compared to us Canadians, blah blah blah. I was pretending to be this guy, in my own mind. This is who I am. The photograph we just saw, But in my own little way, in my own small way, I got together. So me and Sensei Martian should get together to do some hiking. I don't know what Sensei Martian feels about that kind of stuff, because backcountry work, that's a different story, Backcountry work is a lot different than strolling down the highway with the trucks at your back, But yeah, if we're going to keep this book corner to the extent of books that had an impact on Dave and that affected his life somewhat, yeah, that's one of those books, absolutely, So Flyfish's mentions here, cross-country in BC is rough. The underbrush is incredibly dense on the west side of the Rockies. I got you on this. And as I mentioned, when in Manning Park there, the driver dropped me off at the highway there. And mission number one, right away, mission number one, get above tree line. Get up there. Get straight up to the top. And most of that week up there was not spent in the forest at all. Most of that week was spent trying to figure out how to get from, I didn't do mountaintops. Dave is not mountain climbing, but how to get from mountain to alpine areas as minimum of time down in the valleys as possible. Because that's bushwhacking. It's bushwhacking, it's mosquitoes, it's thorns, it's bears and a berry bush and whatever. Absolutely that trip. Most of my time was spent in the, above the tree line, where you're away from the mosquitoes and you're away from the underbrush, you know. And the guys who, that was part of the challenge when I talked about doing doing one of the Rocky Mountain passes, because you've got to fight that stuff. You're only above tree line at the very top of it, if at all. And that's a real challenge. That's why I was smart. I didn't try and do one of those passes first. I thought, Dave, let's try and get some, quote, easy country under your feet first. And I think I did that very well. Should we toss some more? Well, it's 9:26. Okay, we'll be closing this in a few minutes. We'll toss some food. Is that a leaf inside the stream there? No, it's a leaf floating. It can't be. Oh, it's floating. Let's toss. Let's see if we can get some fish. Yeah, it's a floating leaf. Can I hit it? The fish looks so big, you know. Look at that. Whoa, what a monster. Looking in the camera viewfinder, they look about a foot long. They're about 4 inches long or something like that. They're 12 centimeters maybe. Whoa! I think we have found some food these guys like. They're invisible. They're so well camouflaged. Absolutely invisible. There's one. This is new ramen, fresh. I bought it yesterday at the 7-Eleven on the way, during my walk yesterday. I showed you those videos. The very last video, just before I stopped at that old house, the abandoned house. About 15 minutes before that, there's a 7-Eleven on the highway. So I grabbed some ramen there, some noodles. Okay, let's cut this. We're 9:30. Let's get this. The staff is going to be arriving here any minute now. Let me cut one more of these things, then we'll go to the fish cam and we'll shut this down. Thanks for coming around today. I'll be back in Asaksa on Saturday, and I have an embarrassment to admit there too. I will be carving on Saturday in Asaksa. That same block. It's not finished yet. That block for the Kyoto Journey print for December. It's still not finished. And I can blame it on the fans. It's the fans in the shop. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. The shop was just so busy. Someone saying might drop by on Saturday. Okay, say hello if you do. Please let me know. I'll plan to be there all Saturday. There'll be a stream Saturday morning, and then I'll be there, I think, all day. Is that another joke about fans? The shop is still crazy, you know. I was here in Ome yesterday. But when I checked the data for what happened in the shop, they had another record-breaking day in the shop on Wednesday. And I wasn't here. Someone says, do fans ask to take pictures with me? Yes, every day, every day. I get more selfies. If I had $1 for every selfie we've had in the shop, I would be a very, very, very rich man. Lots of people ask. It's totally okay. Lots of people ask for pictures. Okay, let's shut this down. What I'll do is here, we'll switch back to the fish cam. We'll switch back to the cam. Oh, look at that guy just sitting there. Should I zoom out a bit? Should I do it there? Okay, tell you what, I really do have to get some work ready to get ready for the ladies coming here, but I'll leave the camera running here for a while, maybe 5-10 minutes or something like this. So I'll take my microphone off. I will get myself out of here right now. Consider this the end of the stream, but I will leave the camera running for just a while. So thanks very much. I'll see you in a few days on Saturday. Thanks for watching, and bye for now. But we'll leave it running here for a few minutes. Microphone going down. Okay, I guess I have to shut this down. I've got to reclaim my computer. I'm sorry. Today's work for me is video editing. It's the last few stages of the Adachi video from the workshop in 1950s. If I get a good day's work done today and tomorrow, it'll be up this weekend. YouTube video on the way. Okay, signing off now. Thank you very much, and I'll see you again in a couple of days. Bye for now. 3, 2, 1. Thanks for all the fish, as somebody said a few minutes ago.